Welcome to Clef Notes here on Classical 105.7, Lubbock's home for classical music on the radio. I'm Clint Barrick, and I have the honor and privilege this week of sitting in the host chair. And our special guest is the new president and CEO of the Lubbock Symphony Orchestra, Heather Hocker. Heather, welcome to Clef Notes.
Thanks, Clint. It's great to be here.
You're going to have a long association with this program. Today, you're in the guest chair, but you'll move over to where I am for next week and begin to host the show. Is that right?
That's right. I'm looking forward to it. Our first guest is going to be no other than Curtis Griffith with Citibank and sponsor of the Brahms Requiem concert on February 28th for the symphony.
What a great start to your tenure as host of Clef Notes. That's so good. Excellent. Well, for folks who don't know, Heather, tell us a little bit about you growing up and going to school and your journey in music that has led you to the career that you've had and now to the Lubbock Symphony.
Great. Thanks. Well, first of all, I started playing piano. My mother signed me up for piano lessons at probably the age of 5 and played the piano until I was 12 or 13. And then as typical middle schooler, played the clarinet in 6th grade all the way through junior year of high school. I was real fortunate to go to Westfield High School, which was under the direction of Philip Geiger, who is known throughout the state of Texas, especially in the late 80s, early 90s, as the marching band guru, and has received numerous TMEA awards and TBMA and all the things. So I was an okay musician. I'm not a stellar musician. I look at a number of the classmates and older classmates of mine who are now professional musicians. And in fact, Gary Hudson with the Lubbock Symphony was 2 years older than me and was my drill instructor my freshman year of high school. So the intimidation factor was there. But I give Philip Geiger a whole lot of credit for who I am and how I prioritized and organized and the direction that I have now as a professional.
And where was that in high school?
That was in Houston. In Spring ISD. And this was back in the late 80s, early 90s. And I don't know, I think Geiger has 6 state marching band championships under his realm. And I may be wrong. Someone needs to fact check me on that. But it was a great experience. And music was always in our home. My parents had tickets to the Houston Symphony. I was the oldest of 3 children, so dear family friends across the street would take me on Sunday afternoons downtown to Houston to hear the symphony and then, have dinner. And it was just that cultural experience that at the time I didn't realize how important it was, and it made me who I am today.
And Spring and Houston area had a large cultural life, right?
It did. Yeah. And it still does. I mean, between the symphony and Houston Grand Opera and the ballet, every day you could be doing something different. And then, of course, the museums in Houston are great, too. So then I went off to Sam Houston State in Huntsville. That's where I met my husband of almost 30 years this year in 2026. It's hard to believe. And then he came to law school here at Tech in 95, Tech Law. And then I moved here in 97. And it was fast and furious. I spent a number of years at Texas Tech at the International Cultural Center. Then I went on to Covenant. And then I switched gears and went to work for a non-government organization, an NGO, promoting organic cotton fiber from the farmer to the brand and retailer, and did that for almost 6 years. And then the last 13 years, I've worked in the private foundation sector for a private foundation here in town as the program officer, and getting to review all those grant requests and working with the community as a whole. It was great fun. And in August, when there was going to be some transition at the symphony, there were some conversations that took place, and I went, Am I up for another challenge? Because when I went to the private foundation, I thought, oh, I can do this for the next 25 years and retire. Well, 13 years in, I went, okay, I need another challenge in my life. And now being an empty nester, 2 years into empty nesting, I went, okay, why not? I can do this for the next 10 to 12 years. So here I am, and it's an exciting ride.
And while you were working with the CH Foundation, you probably saw a broad spectrum of the community, not just arts, plenty of that as well, but medicine and sciences and all kinds
Human
of things,
services.
right? Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The full shotgun approach to really what makes this community tick, all the different projects. And that is great work that's being done here in this community. I mean, I could just start rattling off alphabetically all of the nonprofit organizations, including Lubbock Public Media, is a new recipient. And, the work that's done by the trustees, it's important work. It's important to this community. It makes a significant impact. Christine DeVitt, she would be so proud, and she's looking down on us. And I think still looking at Lubbock would be vastly different had it not been for Christine DeVitt and Helen DeVitt Jones, the two sisters.
Well, after that, you had some experience with the orchestra where you were a board member for a while, right?
I was a board member and board chair.
Right, yeah.
I got to be the board chair during COVID, which was, I don't recommend to anyone having to cancel concerts. And that was really difficult. We were very creative in how we continued to provide music here on the South Plains. I really challenged the staff to think outside the box. They did a number of Facebook and Instagram and interviews and meet the musicians and tried to really supplement in that social media space that musical programming. Everyone was thinking differently, and I think the symphony did a really good job during that time to provide that opportunity to feed our audience what they wanted and needed. And I want to say it was very important to us as board members that we continued to pay our musicians, and our musicians did get paid during that time period. There might not have been music, and certainly, you look back and that was the opening of Buddy Holly Hall in 2021. I mean, it is the 5-year anniversary right now. In fact, last weekend or 2 weekends ago, when we had snow, would have been the 5th anniversary of opening Buddy Holly Hall, and Lubbock Symphony got to do that.
All of that, you did a great job through COVID, navigating those waters had to be very complicated, but you did an outstanding job, and the orchestra is in great shape. So, yeah.
We are so fortunate to have the musicians that we do here in Lubbock, and our musicians that do travel. In fact, we probably have 5 to 7 musicians that want to play with the Lubbock Symphony, and they travel from the East Coast to the West Coast, from the Chicago all the way to Lubbock for our 5 Masterworks concerts, depending on the repertoire. So we are fortunate that there is a demand. I mean, you look on the map of the United States, and there's Lubbock and the Lubbock Symphony right there in the center.
So we've arrived at the Lubbock Symphony in your career. So what was it about that job? What piqued your interest? What led you to that?
Well, I think really my passion for symphonic music, not just symphonic music, though. I think there's a real opportunity as we develop the love and appreciation in this next generation of youth in music. You might ask me who's my favorite composer. Well, I think it changes by the season. I think it changes by what you're doing in life. I think most importantly, the opportunity to bring world-class music to our friends, our patrons right here on the South Plains. We've got an exciting, I'm not going to reveal all of it today, but the 26-27 season, we're trying to finalize dates in Buddy Holly Hall. And I think Maestro David Cho has put together a fabulous season. So much so, we've even started pushing things for 27-28. Eric Allen in the chamber concerts. We'll do a fall chamber, spring chamber. I'm excited about that repertoire. I mean, there's something for everyone. There will be a film in 26, 27. Stay tuned on that. We're excited. You might mark a special day in May and use some creativity there to figure that out if everything works out. So we've got to be creative. We've got to not just have the traditional Beethoven and Brahms and Bach. We've got to do some other things. This community loves pops. They loved Kristen Chenoweth. They love Boys to Men. We just have to continue to look to bring those artists here to Lubbock.
There's so much to unpack about what you just said. That is amazing. You mentioned the orchestra, the chamber orchestra, doing films, doing all of these kinds of things. That of course speaks to leadership and how you have to handle all of these things. Not everybody gets to be CEO of a major orchestra. Tell us a little bit, what's that like? What does a day in Heather's life look like?
Well, first of all, it's very humbling because it's not what you typically think of. I start the morning with emails. I end the day with emails. Of course, we also have an education program, and we also oversee the Lubbock Youth Orchestra. And all of these tentacles and components of the Lubbock Symphony are demanding. I have some great mentors that have said, look, split your day from the CEO perspective. You've got the financial aspect of it, and then you've got the operating side of it. And I've got a great team at the symphony. We continue to build on that. We build on the culture. We build on leadership. We want our patrons to continue to support the Lubbock Symphony Orchestra. We can't do what we do in this community without that financial support. It's been a big leap, and we've all seen that, to go from the Civic Center to Buddy Holly Hall and the costs there. So I've spent a lot of my time coming in, working on that 26-27 calendar. We continue to tweak it. Working with Shannon Hall at Buddy Holly Hall. I love that her last name is Hall. We've got a great partnership there with Buddy Holly Hall. With that board, we've got to continue to work on that and make it the best for Lubbock. When you take our schedule, and it's about 11 concerts a year. That includes our education concerts. That includes our youth symphony, our 5 masterworks, a special film. We want to be in Buddy Holly Hall those 11 times a year. And that's what's most important. And that's what's taking up a lot of time. And just making sure then, though, we had a teen concert at the hall 2 weeks ago, and a little bit of crisis management on the first 2 weeks on the job too. Little did I ever expect that I would be canceling a concert. And that was very difficult. I thought we had a really great contingency plan. We didn't get to execute the contingency plan because that sleet and snow and ice started coming down by 3:00 on that Friday. And fortunately, we had great advice from our meteorologists that said it's not going to be good. So it's hard. We've got to take care of our patrons first. But to be perfectly honest, I was one of the 15,000 at the United Spirit Arena for that basketball game on Saturday afternoon. So you've got to take care of the patrons. Had we been able to shift to an afternoon concert, that would have been great. But basketball had moved earlier in the day too, but we've got to take care of everyone.
Well, you certainly are doing that, and we certainly look forward to you as being the host of this program in the days and weeks coming forward. Heather Hocker is our guest today on Clef Notes. She is the new president and CEO of the Lubbock Symphony Orchestra. Heather, best of luck. Thank you very much for being a guest on the show today.
Thanks, Clint. I look forward to working with you. We look forward to our weekly spots and continuing to promote Classical 105.7 and the Lubbock Symphony Orchestra.